Pretty good tear on the metal theologian. So, kind of an ordinary video today, really. I got some new arrivals that have kind of been hanging over my head a little bit. I haven't even played all these yet, so I don't have a whole lot to say about some of them, so it's probably just going to be boring as fuck, and you're probably not going to waste your time watching this shit. Yeah, we'll start off with this, though, man. Fucking, I was really happy to find this. This is Dr. Enough, and I kind of cheated, because I already drank 2 out of the 4 in the 4-pack, and Spencer drank the other one, so this is the last one, but this is rich in vitamins, is what the guy's saying there. This is kind of considered the original energy drink, considered by the Dr. Enough company, anyway. And it's from someplace in Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee. And in addition to caffeine, it has niacin and thiamine and potassium iodide. So I don't know, I guess it's concoction, like when they invented it in the 30s or whatever, they could market it as sort of an energy drink or whatever, but it's kind of a regional thing. I guess it's pretty hard to get outside of that little corner of Tennessee. Shit. God damn it. There we go. There it is again. And the real sort of historic significance of this is, for any of you who watch Grown Man Record Night and actually watched all the way back and all the old back episodes, you might recognize this as being the soda that was featured in the very first edition of So to Speak. So, we're going to give it a shot. So it kind of has a lemon lime thing going on, like a lot more than like a Mountain Dew. Like it almost tastes like a Sprite or a 7-Up or something like that. But it has a little bit more of an edge to it that's kind of hard to describe. And I think it's really tasty. I mean, I like a 7-Up just fine anyway. Like the main reason I tend to shy away from 7-Up is its lack of caffeine. I mean, let's just be fucking honest here, right? If I'm drinking this shit, I'm going for a little bit of a kick, right? So in time, New York, till I get my next cup of coffee, I mean, just fucking be honest, right? Yeah, it's really good though. It's funny, the more of these I drink, the more just sort of straight up 7-Up-y it is. So it's a nice soda. It's really refreshing, actually. I'm kind of thirsty. It's been fucking hot and humid here, like, relentlessly. And it's really good in this kind of weather, maybe more so even than a root beer. But, I don't know. I mean, a root beer's still the shit. I mean, you know, when it comes to the sodas, it's like, there's root beer all the way to the top of the heap, and then cream soda, like, just slightly below that, and then pretty much everybody else, you know. I mean, I'd still put the cola over, like, the lemon lime, but, you know, I love it all, but... Anyway, we're listening to... It's actually one I got several years ago. This is not a European one, in contrast with the title this thing is going to be, but this is... let's see if I can get that in a little bit less glare. There we go. That's Chivo Borraro. And this guy is from Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. The address is... This record's from 73. And for a 73 record, it definitely sounds pretty bop-ish. But, I don't know, I've actually been playing this record a lot lately. There's just something about it that works for me. And it's funny, because I know I've criticized some of the later, like, Sonny Stitt records and that for, I know Tune Up in particular, I just thought it was kind of depressing, because it just sounded like a straight-up hard bop record cut in the early 70s. It just seemed like, you know, an anachronism, kind of like, why are you doing this, man? I mean, a lot of shit has happened since then. And Chivo doesn't really come off that way at all somehow. It's still, you know, to call this avant-garde would be a big stretch, at least, you know, beyond the degree to which jazz, from a compositional standpoint, is fundamentally kind of avant-garde. But it just feels more informed about what's going on in the preceding years, you know, all the post-bop stuff. And even though it's relatively conservative for 73, it just works. It's just a fun record to listen to, So like I said, I kind of got a bunch of shit lately. This is really all European stuff, mostly German, in fact. And, fuck, let's just get into it. So I got a few records. This is from the early 70s by Albert and Mangelsdorf. It's a trombone player. This is it's the first one I have. It's called Tension. Look at that back cover. Isn't that fucking cool? And there's like a weird like trifold cover too. It's like, well, I can put one of these out. It has all sorts of shit in it, but you know, the pictures aren't really all that inspiring. The record actually doesn't even fit in though, it just sort of folds, so, and it kind of sits in there, so. There's our man right there. And there we go. And this is kind of a pain in the ass, so I'm probably not going to do that with all of these that are in this series, but apparently there's a series of reissues that just came out relatively recently within the last couple of years, like these German records. There's a Wolfgang Downer one that I'd really like to find, because apparently that one's dried up and has gotten, I don't know, not as expensive as I would expect to pay for Wolfgang Downer records, but not as cheap as I like my reissues to be either, let's just be honest. Anyway, this thing, it's a really interesting record. This record's like 63, and some of it is pretty straightforward, kind of bop-ish, but it just has a different vibe, man. And I had heard that, you know, German jazz didn't really come into its own until the 70s. And I can see where you could make that, but this doesn't sound like an American record, you know? It's legitimate jazz. I mean, these are guys like no shit jazzmen. They're playing serious shit. They know what they're doing, and they're doing it really well, but it doesn't sound like, I mean, you wouldn't confuse this with a Gratian Moncor record. There's one track on here in particular which just fucking blew my mind. It was actually the first one I heard. I sampled it on YouTube, and it is called Vari, I believe. The first on side 2, and it has like this like weird like pedal in the horns and like some stuff over it, and it's just the way, I don't know, man, I can't describe it. And that's why I said at the beginning, I was kind of saying it jokingly, but I don't know what to say about a lot of these records, so I'm kind of just going to do this record porn style. Similarly, this one is another Albert Mangelsdorf. This is the next record after that one. I'm not sure what the fuck this is called. Now Jazz Ram Wong. The Albert Mangelsdorf was a quintet in Asia. There we go. And this is just a fucking really good record, man. I mean, it's nothing like really like extreme about it. You wouldn't confuse this with Peter Brötzmann, or you wouldn't confuse it with an American act either, like I said. But I don't know. You know, it has some like Asian influences and some of that stuff, but it stops. Not only is it not like an exploitation record that way, but it stops so far short of it. It's like you could listen to this and not feel like that really encroaches at all. This is kind of different. I got this one at the same time, but this one, yeah, it was a reissue or not. It's not a recent reissue, but this is actually on the Enya label, which is kind of a cool German jazz label. I mean, check out anything on that label. Just kind of a, you know what Enya seems like to me? It seems like the fucking what people think ECM was. I mean, there's some cool shit on ECM. There's some Wolfgang Downer records that I like to find, but most of those fucking things that I've heard are just crap. Whereas most of the Enya ones I've heard are at least kind of interesting. And you know, we're talking half a dozen records. I'm by no means an expert. This one's notable though for having Albert Mangelsdorf along with Masahiko Sato, who I have a record or two by, actually in my rock section, sort of ironically. But he's like the keyboardist on here. He's credited for piano and modulator. And that really sums it up. It's like, you know, he's fundamentally like the key player on this record, but he also has this weird synth shit in there, which you do not expect to hear on a jazz record. But again, it's freer than those other ones, but it doesn't go off into fucking non-jazz La La Land, you know what I mean? It still sounds like jazz, and that's kind of what is really cool about this one. That may be the only record that isn't a Sun Ra record where I've heard electronics like that, and it's still like maintained for me its identity as a jazz record. Alright, I muted that. Okay, this one just came. I actually had to order this one from Sweden. And, well, fuck it, I'll just show it because I haven't heard it yet. I gotta give a little tip of the hat to Anders in Stockholm, who turned me onto this one by talking about it, because this is indeed, I mean, I've listened to some of it online, but I heard I really liked. I deliberately didn't listen to the whole thing because I like to hold a little something back, but I heard enough that it was worth it to me to send away for Sweden. And this ripped my fucking face off right there. Look at that, it's a record store day release. You know? And I don't know, you know, when it comes to things like nationalism, I'm generally not a big fan of it. You know, I've got no beef with America, and I generally like living here just fine. That all sorts of cool things. If you want to know what was cool about America, you know, I could talk all day and just list things and list things and list things. I wouldn't even be done at the fucking midnight, you know what I mean? But I gotta say, next time someone says to me, America's the greatest country in the world, and I hate to say it, people do that here if you're watching from the country. Next time someone says America's the greatest country in the world, I'm gonna say, something? On Record Store Day in America, we didn't get the fucking Buria Fredrickson record. We got that fucking Jerry Garcia reissue, again, but we didn't get the fucking Buria Fredrickson record. I don't know, man. That just seems like a shortcoming to me, man. Maybe I'm reading too much into it and, overthinking this shit. But, man, this is just such a gem, man. There's a fucking 500 run. It's numbered. I think Anders actually has number 1, which is kind of mind-blowing. I wouldn't expect that to make it to a shop, But, yeah, so I'm really stoked to have get my hands on a copy of that. I have next to no Swedish jazz, so I'm a total novice on that front. Contrast to this guy who I'm getting to know pretty well, but I listened to this before and it's fucking great. There's actually the most recent release on the Cienfuegos label out of Austria, even though they have a Spanish name. And it's just really good, man. It's another one with Brutzmann, Fred Van Hove, and Han Benink. And, fucking here, I'll open the gatefold real quick. And it just has a cool mix of shit. Actually, that's kind of interesting, is I was listening to this record while I was watching the Vinyl Transmission guy's latest video. And, the second last song on the first side of this, there's, this weird thing where he's, singing through the horn and, making these sort of weird sounds, semi with his mouth and semi with the instrument. But, right when the Vinyl Transmission guy started talking about Venom, he started, yelling, ah! Ah! I was like, man, that is just fucking perfect. So, yeah, this is a really cool record, man. It's far out, though, man. That's some balls-up free jazz shit. What I'm really digging about Peter Brutzmann, too, is the more of his records I get, they all sound different. I'm actually going to go ahead and cut to the chase. This one, too. It's actually the last one I got. I actually have all the jazz Cienfuegos records now. This one's actually a double. Again, it's a far fucking out record. This is him with, I don't know, Miller and Maholo, whose first names I can't remember, but I don't want this video to last forever, so. Open but hardly touched. This is later, it's 81. So I was a little skeptical, but man, it's fucking solid. It's just weird ass shit. They're playing their asses off. Sincere as hell and free as unbelievable. So I lucked into a sealed copy of this. I kind of couldn't believe it. And this is an early 80s reissue of this thing, but this is a, well, I kind of misread it. Apparently, I thought it was Wolfgang Downer and Fred Van Hove, doing this thing together. Apparently, it's this Fred Van Hove Requiem for Che Guevara, as well as Martin Luther King, the Kennedy brothers, and Malcolm X. And then it's this psalm thing, Psalm Spey, that Wolfgang Downer did for choir and jazz group. And I gotta say, it doesn't sound too promising. So at this point, I'm just kind of hoping this doesn't suck. It's still sealed for now, so I'm gonna defer the pleasure of opening it, but I'll share the pleasure of this little German price sticker. Because I guarantee you, when this thing got sold originally, that was, see, it's $18.90. Yeah, I guarantee you that was marks. That's what a record used to cost back in the 80s. It was 20 marks, give or take. So, this one actually I also just got relatively recently. Now, this fucking thing, I got a pretty good price on. Not like the deal of a lifetime, but I'm really glad to have my fucking hands on this thing finally. Same deal, it's on this Crystal Jazz reissue label. Fine with me, man. I'd rather do that than spend $200 on an original press from the 60s. But this free action from Wolfgang Downer, let me tell you, this fucking thing lives up to its reputation. Has Jean-Luc Ponty on it, who does not fuck the thing up at all. Not a big fan of jazz violin, generally speaking, but the guy, just the flourishes he puts on the shit, I'm just down with it. Maybe I'm just coming around on it too, what can I say? This thing also kind of jumped out at me when I got it and opened up the gatefold for having Manny Neumeier on it from Guru Guru. So you krautrock fans like me, when you hear about these guys playing in these jazz groups and shit like that, I tend to be kind of dismissive of that, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, fucking of course, everybody, they're dead. They're like serious musicians, right? Because we're all supposed to believe it's like prog shit, right? So they're serious musicians. and now they're going and playing rock, and it's like, you know, here. But Manny Neumeier is on that fucking record, and that guy's a no shit. You know, he's an awesome ass drummer, and he fits. You know, I mean, you don't listen to that record and go, "This sounds like a I just spaced my sentence there. You know, because this sounds like a rock drummer who they dropped into this jazz record, this free jazz record. I mean, he plays right along with them. You know, and speaking of, too, actually, I just started reading about this shit a little bit, too. I didn't realize that Yaki Liebetzeit from Cannes had played on the first, I think it was the first Manfred Schoff record, too. So we'll see if I'm ever fortunate enough to even fucking have a copy of that in my hands, let alone own one. But I don't know, man. Maybe someone will reissue it for Record Store Day in Sweden next year or something. Okay, this record's fucking awesome. Evan Parker on saxophone, Alexander von Schlippenbach obviously on keys, and I don't know who Paul Lovins is, but whatever, man. He kicks all sorts of ass on this record. So this is another new one, Cienfuegos, the second most recent actually. I guess this one and that Untitled Trio one were supposed to come out at the same time, but that one got deferred a little bit. Yeah, again, it's pretty crazy. I feel like I'm being really verbose for not having much to say, but what the hell. Okay, I saved the best one for last cover-wise. I haven't even listened to this one yet, so I've got nothing to say. But this fucking cover, I saw the picture of this in one of those Mangelsdorf records, and I was like, I need that. Like, even if this sucks, I need it. Now check this out. This is Yogi Jazz by Jockey Freund. And usually you say Yogi Jazz, I'm going to stay the fuck away, but you put that cover on it. Jesus Christ. I was actually playing a game with my 9-year-old. He thinks this is the fucking funniest thing ever. Like, I was sitting by the couch going, "Hey, Coltrane." And he'd just go, and I'm pretty much with him, man. It's rules. I mean, just look at that for a minute. Look at that while I hit this thing. You won't get tired of it, believe me. I mean, just look how good that is. Like, the fucking face he's making is perfect. It's like the greatest record cover of all time. Like, you could make a 20-minute video of just me showing this, and the video would rule. I'd get, like, 20 million likes and shit. Alright, well, that's what I've got today. I didn't even fill out the side of a record. I kind of deliberately put this on because it's a little on the long side. So there we go. I'm a little bit between phases right now. So I kind of know where to go with this video. So if anyone like has a request, feel free. Now, I talked with Scott a while back about doing a couple more of these new album videos. I told Robert Z I would do like some progressive metal shit from the 80s for him. I feel like there are one or two other things that I've kind of, oh yeah, some jazz shit that I promised people too. But it's weird because I'm listening to a ton of jazz, but I feel like I'm kind of like coming down off that, but I haven't picked up on anything yet, so my heart isn't quite in it. So I mean, I had fun doing this video, don't get me wrong, but you know, if you want to try and get me started on a kick or something, now's the time to do it. So start like, chat me up or whatever, something in the fucking comments and shit. So because I might just fucking do it because I'm kind of don't know what to do with myself. So anyway, thanks for listening to me agonize here, and I'm gonna go finish my doctor enough, and God, this record's really fucking good. So, this is Chivo. Alright, take care. Until next time. Thanks.